What if I never shine in my life? What if nobody really sees me? What if I try my best, but in the end, I am still just an ordinary person? This question is simple, but it hurts. Maybe you have asked yourself this before. Maybe late at night. Maybe after watching other people succeed. Maybe after looking at your own life and feeling very small. Some people are afraid of failure. But sometimes I think the real fear is different. Sometimes the real fear is this. What if I never become someone special? What if my life is always quiet? What if nobody remembers my name? What if I am never enough? That fear can stay in the heart for a long time. It follows us when we wake up. It follows us when we study. It follows us when we work. It follows us when we look at other people and think, why does everyone look brighter than me? We live in a world that loves success. The world loves winners. The world loves loud people. The world loves big stories. And because of that, many of us start to believe something very painful. If I do not shine, maybe I do not matter. If I am not the best, maybe I am nothing. If my life is small, maybe my life means very little. These thoughts are heavy, and the worst part is, we do not always say them out loud. We keep them inside, we smile, we keep going. But deep in our hearts, we are scared. Scared that one day we will look back at our lives and say, why is this all? Why is this the person I became? Was I ever important at all? Maybe that is your fear, not that you will fail, but that you will live, try, wait, and still never become someone who shines. If that is how you feel, you are not alone. So many people carry this question in silence. So many people look calm outside, but inside they are fighting this same fear. And today, I want to talk about it. Not quickly, not lightly, but honestly. Because maybe the question is not only, Evo, will I ever shine? Maybe the deeper question is, if I never shine in the way I dream, can my life still be beautiful? That is what this video is about. Why do we want to shine so much? Why do we want people to see us, praise us, and remember us? Maybe the answer starts when we are very young. When we are children, people often clap for the best student. They smile at the fastest child. They praise the most talented person in the room. Little by little, we learn something. We learn that being seen feels good. We learn that being special brings love, attention, and praise. And after some time, our hearts begin to believe this. If I am good, people will notice me. If people notice me, I have value. If nobody notices me, maybe I am not important. This idea can grow inside us very quietly. At school, we see scores. We see ranks. We see who is first and who is last. Even if nobody says it directly, we can still feel it. The top people get attention. The strong people get respect. The bright people get love. So many of us begin to chase that feeling. We want to be the one people talk about. We want to be the one people admire. We want to be the one who stands out. And then, when we grow older, Social media makes this feeling even stronger. Every day, we see beautiful faces, big achievements, happy photos, new jobs, good grades, nice trips, big dreams coming true. We open our phones for a few minutes, and suddenly, it feels like everyone is doing better than us. Everyone looks confident. Everyone looks successful. Everyone looks like they are moving fast. And then we look at ourselves. Maybe we are still confused. Maybe we are still trying. Maybe we are still tired. Maybe our life looks slow, simple, and quiet. That is when the pain starts. Because we do not only see other people shine, we also start to ask, why am I not shining too? It is hard to stay calm when the world is always showing us bright people. It is hard to feel enough when success is everywhere on our screen. So we start comparing their success, our struggle, their smile, our fear, their big moment, our small life. And this comparison changes the way we see ourselves. We stop asking, am I growing? And we start asking, am I ahead of others? We stop asking, am I living a good life? And we start asking, do I look successful? This is how the heart becomes tired. Because now, life is no longer just life. It becomes a race to be seen, a race to be loved, a race to be enough. But here's the sad part. When we connect our value to attention, we will always feel afraid. Afraid of being left behind, afraid of being forgotten, afraid of being ordinary. We begin to think that quiet people have small value. We begin to think that slow growth is weak. We begin to think that if our story is not big, it is not meaningful. But that is not always true. Still, many of us believe it. That is why we want to shine so much. Not only because we want success, but because deep inside, we want to feel that our life matters. We want proof that we are enough. We want proof that we are not invisible. We want proof that we are someone. And sometimes that need becomes very heavy. It sits in the heart and whispers, if you do not shine, maybe you do not matter. That is a painful thought. And once it enters the heart, it can stay there for a long time. And then one day, this question comes into the heart. What if I am just ordinary? This question is painful. It is not only about success. It is not only about money. It is about meaning. It is about the fear that maybe my life will never become something special. Sometimes this fear comes in quiet moments, when a friend moves forward, when someone younger does something amazing, when we look at our life and think, I thought I would be more by now. That thought hurts. Maybe we wanted to be stronger, braver, more successful, more sure about life. But today maybe we still feel lost, still confused, still small. And then the mind starts asking hard questions. What if I always stay average? What if there is nothing special in me? What if I keep trying but nothing really changes? At night, these thoughts can feel even heavier. The room is quiet. But the mind is loud. We think about our dreams. We think about time, we think about other people, and we ask ourselves, what happened to me? This is the pain of feeling ordinary. Sometimes it feels like being invisible, like being left behind, like everyone is moving, but we are still standing in the same place. And the hardest part is this. Sometimes we start to believe that ordinary means worthless. If I am not special, do I matter? If nobody sees my effort, is it enough? If my life is small, can it still be meaningful? These questions are very real, and many people carry them in silence. But if you have asked these questions, you are not weak. You are human. You care. You hope. You want your life to mean something. And that is why this pain feels so deep. Because deep inside, many of us believe one thing. A meaningful life must look big, but maybe handsome. That is not true. But maybe shining is not what we think it is. Maybe shining does not mean being famous. It does not mean being rich. It does not mean that everyone knows your name. Sometimes we think only big people shine. The best student, the most talented person, the most successful one. But real life is not always like that. Some people shine very quietly. A teacher can change one student's life. A mother can give love every day. A friend can stay when everyone else leaves. These people may not be famous. They may not look special to the world. But their light is real. Not all light is loud. Some people shine with kindness. Some people shine with patience. Some people shine because they do not give up. That is also a beautiful kind of light. Maybe a meaningful life does not need to look big. Maybe it only needs to be real. Maybe shining is not about being above other people. Maybe it is about bringing warmth, help, and love to the people around us. So if your life looks quiet right now, that does not mean it has no value. If your growth is slow, that does not mean it is not real. And if the world does not clap for you, that does not mean your life is not important. Maybe some of the most beautiful lives are not the loudest ones. Maybe some people shine in silence, and maybe that kind of light matters too. Yes, a small life can still be a beautiful life. Small does not mean empty. Quiet does not mean useless. Ordinary does not mean worthless. Sometimes we think a good life must be big. A big job, a big dream, a big name. But many beautiful things in life are small. A peaceful morning, a warm meal, an honest job, a few true friends, a heart that still knows how to love. These things may look simple, but they matter. You do not need the whole world to know your name. You do not need to be the best person in the room. You do not need a perfect life to have a meaningful life. Sometimes success is not being famous. Sometimes success is having peace. Sometimes success is growing slowly. Sometimes success is staying kind in a hard world. That is not a small thing. Maybe you do not need a big life. Maybe you need a real life, a life with truth, a life with love, a life with quiet courage. So if your life feels simple right now, do not hate it too quickly. Maybe it is not empty. Maybe it is only calm. Maybe it is not weak. Maybe it is only growing in silence. A quiet life can still be full of meaning, and a small life can still be full of light. This does not mean we stop dreaming. We can still dream big. We can still work hard. We can still want more from life. But maybe we should not do it from fear. Not from the fear of looking small. Not from the fear of being behind. Not from the fear of being nobody. Because when fear leads the way, the heart becomes tired. We push ourselves too hard. We compare too much. We forget how to be kind to ourselves. It is good to grow. It is good to learn. It is good to try. But we do not need to hate ourselves while doing it. You do not need to become someone else to have value. You already have value. So keep going, but go with love. Grow because you care about your life. Try because your dreams matter. Move forward because you want to live fully. And if your road is slow, that is okay. Slow does not mean lost. Late does not mean failed. Quiet does not mean weak. Some people bloom early, some people bloom later. Both are still flowers. So take your time. Keep learning. Keep trying. Keep believing. But be gentle with your heart on the way. So what if I never shine in my life? Maybe that is not the end of the story. Maybe I do not need to shine in a big way. Maybe I do not need the whole world to see me. Maybe I do not need to be famous, perfect, or special in everyone's eyes. Maybe it is enough to live a life that is true, a life with love, a life with kindness, a life that does not give up. Maybe that is also a kind of light. If one day I do not become the person I once imagined, that does not mean my life has no meaning. If my life stays quiet, it can still be beautiful. If my journey is slow, it can still be good. If only a few people see my heart, that heart still matters. I may not be the brightest person in the room, but I can still be warm. I can still be honest. I can still be kind. I can still be enough. And maybe that is the answer. Maybe I do not need to shine for everyone. Maybe it is enough to bring light to one life, even if that life is my own. So if you are afraid that you will never shine, remember this. Your life still has value. Your quiet growth still matters. Your small light is still light. And you are still enough.